Alright, it's the end of August 2015, I think is the year, and I'm going to make another video. I believe there was actual clamoring online for another video about pianos. Our friend the piano. And here's one that I repaired the soundboard on. This was not a replacement. It only had a couple cracks in it, if you can see them. Don't look too close. And it did need a new pin block though, because that was shot, so the pins were loose. So there's our new pin block, and I'm just getting ready to drop the plate back into that thing and string it, get rid of that one. But on the interesting side of pianos, here's the soundboard that I'm making. And oh yeah, I wanted to show one of the reasons soundboards get replaced is this is not a flat piece of wood like a guitar. It's curved, or what Steinway calls a diaphragmatic shape, which you can't really see it with the straight edge very well, but you should see a gap at the end of that thing. But it's going all the way across. There's about 3 to 4 millimeters of gap. It's not flat. And the soundboard I'm replacing, which is sitting here on the bench, which also I can't see very well, but it's perfectly flat. In other words, the crown is shot. Now, what's interesting about pianos is how we get the crown. Not just that there's crown, who cares if it's bent or not, but how you get it. And here's my $1 million graphical representation of a tree. And here's a piece of wood like this one from a soundboard that's cut out of a tree. And you can see the annual rings there. And that's called quarter sawing the wood. So what that does is wood shrinks and expands. It shrinks when it's dry, it expands when it gets wet. And this is a very predictable way of cutting wood out of a tree. In other words, it doesn't want to warp and twist, it kind of stays straight. But we actually want it to bend. Now how do we do it? We dry it down in a hot box, and then we glue the ribs on the bottom. And then when you reintroduce it into the wild, where it's more moisture, the soundboard panel wants to expand, but the ribs or the cleats on the bottom restrict the bottom. And also, I didn't write in here, this also produces a thing called tension across the top of this piece of wood and compression down here. Remember that. There's going to be a test later on. So anyway, here's our new panel, which is flat. And the ribs are still up there. I haven't shaped them yet. You wait till the last minute because this glue line has to be perfect on there. So I don't want to make that glue line and have it make that glue surface and have it sitting around getting polluted. And this isn't fine sanded yet either. Right before, I get ready to make this will be sanded down, nice fresh wood. So yeah, well, so we got to shrink that piece of wood. How are we going to do that? We are going to achieve the shrinkage in this thing here called a hot box, which just has a heater and some fans in there. It's pretty simple, pretty down and dirty, but it's an insulated box. And then we can monitor that with, you can see the relative humidity is like 60% right now. We're going to shrink that down to 30 or something, but that's not the real way to tell what's going on with that. The real way is more interesting. Let's look over here at this apparatus here. Here's 2 samples of the soundboard wood. And this is where I could pretend to be a genius, but I'm not, because I didn't do the math on this. Somebody else did the math on this. Where, see, that's 161 something or others. And if I weigh this thing right now, see that, what does that say, 161? This is 163.5. That means we know water is pretty heavy. So I'm going to heat this soundboard up until these 2 samples read what they are on there. And that difference is, that 2 grams of water in there is a lot. So it's going to shrink the wood down that much. And that's basically how, that's the science. Don't ask me why. You can look over there and see I have not finished the bridge cap on that piano. This is what a bridge cap is supposed to look like. This one wasn't bad, but you can probably see some little cracks in here. Right around there. Yeah, they're not supposed to be there, but that's not bad. Also, this belly board here is not flat either. It's convex on the top and it's concave on the bottom. And that's going to be, I'll have to show you that. It's fun. This is what's called a glue bar deck up here. And it's a rigid it's a rigid torsion box construction with some steel beams on the side of it. This thing doesn't flex. The house doesn't move. So we squish the ribs onto the soundboard with that table. And there's like a million sticks, go bars they call them, it looks pretty cool on TV. So anyway, I'll show that. That'll be fun. Anyway, that's it for now.